Hello everyone, welcome back to my gaming review. Today I want to talk about why you shouldn't buy an Atari flashback system and why you should just buy the actual console. So, in this video, obviously you can see this right here is a flashback, and this is the actual Atari, right there, the 2600. Now, Atari made many different versions and many different models of the Atari 2600. So you got the Vader one, you got the Woody, which is this one. Then you also have the 5200 and the 7800, which are actual Atari consoles. This console is a flashback. This is a cheaply made console. Usually these are made by At Games, and this console is terrible to buy. So in my experience with the Atari flashback, I decided to make this video because I've been playing Atari. I've been, playing some Atari games on a real Atari. So I want to talk about why you shouldn't buy a flashback console. So I owned the Atari Flashback 3 and another Atari Flashback. I think it was like the Atari Flashback 5. and both my Atari Flashbacks broke on me. Both of them. One lasted for like a week, and the other one, I think, lasted even a shorter amount of time. I played my Atari Flashbacks, I took care of them, and they still broke on me. My Atari, I bought a 2600 Junior. I also have a 7800, but I've never had an issue with a real Atari system. So this thing right here is very reliable, and this real Atari system will last you for decades because the actual Atari, plus you could put your cartridges in, you can plug your games in, and that's, in my opinion, that's the best way to play Atari games. This version doesn't have a cartridge slot, and these are very unreliable systems that break all the time. And I'm coming from experience. My Atari flashbacks, I had two of them, they both broke. And if you're not going to use your Atari flashback, this is not really a big issue for you. But if you use your flashback and you intend to play Atari games, this is the worst option for you because the Atari flashback systems are built terribly. They're very cheaply made. They have very cheap plastic. The buttons are very cheap, and these consoles just break all the time. But anyway, with that stuff being said, this is just the Atari 2600 versus the Atari flashback. And I want to make this video because I want people to be educated and know that the flashback systems are not good. I see on Atari videos all the time that people are like, oh, there's a cheaper option. Oh, if you want to play Atari, just buy a flashback. No, do not buy a flashback system because the flashback Atari systems, all of them, are pretty crappy. They're built very terribly, and if you want the real Atari, this is the way to go. Now, this console does not have built-in games, which might be something people do not like about, but would you rather have a game console that will last you for decades and have a collection of games, or would you rather have this thing that will break on you and start to have issues, and you want something that's very super duper cheap, right? So anyway, with that being said, the Atari 2600 or the 2600 Junior plus the 7800 are the best way to go if you want to play Atari and you want an Atari nowadays. They just made a brand new flashback system that looks exactly like this console, just like a mini version, but do not buy these consoles. The newest Atari flashback is expensive. I saw it on eBay, and it was like $200 for it, which is a ridiculous price for a flashback system that's made very, very crappy build quality. But anyway, with that being said, I just want to talk a little bit about that, and tell people do not buy a flashback because the flashback systems are very, very badly built. If you could find a different Atari, if you can find a different way to play Atari games, then go with that way, you can play Atari games on a PlayStation 2, you can play Atari games on a Raspberry Pi, you can play Atari games on a computer, so you do not need a flashback. do not buy a flashback. Find any other way to play Atari games. In my opinion, the best way to play Atari is to buy the actual system because it gives you that, old school retro experience. But anyway, that stuff being said, I'm going to end the video here, so I hope everyone has a lovely day or night. And this was the Atari versus the Atari flashback, and my opinion, well, I think it should be a fact. I mean, the flashback systems are just terrible. And I think that a lot of people have had them break on them, or I've seen videos where like the cable's broken. I've seen videos where something on the motherboard is broken, and if you buy a real Atari, it will last you a long time. But you can also play Atari games on a PS2, on a gaming PC. You can play Atari games. You can buy, there's so many different ways to play Atari games, and the flashback is not the way to do it. It is a cheap, terrible, terrible made console that nobody should buy. Excuse me, but anyway, I'm in the video, so hope you liked it, and do not buy a flashback Atari system. Actually, do not buy any of the flashbacks, Now, if it's a game console made by an actual company, like the Sega Genesis Mini was made by Sega, you should always go for those consoles, because a Sega Genesis Mini, a PS Classic, an NES Classic Edition, the, Super Nintendo Classic Edition, the little mini consoles, if the mini consoles are made by the actual company, then you should be fine, and you should buy them because they're actually made well. But if you buy these flashback systems, like the ColecoVision that was made, the Coleco flashback, and the Atari flashbacks, they will break eventually, and they are very just, if you open those up, you look inside, it's a messy, and it's not really well made. I mean, I've always said that multiple times now, but I'm in a video, so peace out, everyone. And again, do not trust at games, and do not buy a flashback system.